Okay.
Good evening. Is that Gary?
It sure is.
Hello, Gary. It's DJ Gloss here from Sound Fusion Radio. How are you?
I'm cooling the gang by the grace of God, DJ Gloss. How you doing?
I'm absolutely fine myself, or to use your words, I'm cooling the gang too.
All right, awesome.
Yep, almost a celebration, if you pardon the pun. There
yes,
you go.
Sir.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah. And, well, I've got a few questions to fire at you, if you don't mind at all.
Oh, I'm good to go. Fire away, my brother.
Okay, thank you very much. So whereabouts are you in the world today?
I am in Minneapolis, Minnesota,
Yeah.
USA, of course, and that is the home and base of Sounds of Blackness.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And it has been ever since 1969, I believe.
It has. You got your facts right, DJ Gloss.
Yeah, because originally you were known as the McAllister College Black Voices. Is that correct?
That's correct, my friend.
Wonderful.
That's right.
Perhaps you could tell us a little bit about how that all came about back there in the late 60s.
Certainly. The college, my alma mater, McAllister College, in right across the river from Minneapolis in St. Paul, Minnesota. In 1968, DJ Gloss, they embarked upon a very ambitious program to conscientiously recruit students of color, which they had very few of at the time.
Yeah.
And that program was called EEO, Expanded Educational Opportunities. That effort was very successful in bringing African American and Asian, Latin, Indian, Native students in. And one of the offshoots of that program was that the students themselves formed many different organizations. One was a political group called BLAC, the Black Liberation Affairs Committee, very politically oriented.
Yeah.
There was a theater and dance group called Black Arts Midwest, and they would put on plays and productions. And there was this probably 50 or 60 voice ensemble, the McAllister Black Voices at the time. So the students, in addition to their studies, formed those groups to form cultural bonds and connect with community and express themselves artistically.
Wow. I mean, isn't that wonderful? I mean, 50 to 60 voices. I mean, that's going to be very, very impressive, and so nice that that could be put together, you know. Absolutely
Yes.
Wonderful. Just great. So it was in 1971 that Garrett, that you changed the name to Sounds of Blackness.
That's correct. Very early, in fact, it was specifically January of 1971, DJ Gloss. And
wow.
What occurred was that the director of the McAllister Black Voices actually transferred to another school out of state.
Right.
And so they were in need of a director and musician, and they approached yours truly to do that. And of course, I was honored to assume that position because they had already quite a very positive reputation and were very excellent even in those early days.
Yeah.
But the vision really that God gave me for that group was to embrace and perform as a legacy and heritage the full range of African American music: jazz, gospel, hip hop, R&B, blues, world beat, spirituals, the whole
Wonderful.
family of African American music. And so we needed a name that would reflect that repertoire, and hence Sounds of Blackness was born. And so that's, many people ask often, what's the meaning or origin of the name? But that is every sound of blackness, from rock and roll to blues and gospel and hip hop and spirituals. Wonderful.
Absolutely wonderful, and such a beautiful collection of genres, and to have them all available under the Sounds of Blackness, you know, in 1971, that must have been an absolutely fabulous thing to be part of. Yes, it was. It's something I'll always cherish, and it's now the tradition is being continued and maintained and carried on.
by our current members, our band, and our singers, some of whom are actually the children of some of the original members.
Oh, isn't that fantastic?
Yes.
Wonderful. So the legacy lives on, as they say, through the children of the original artists, and wow, how wonderful.
Yes, it is a blessing, and it lives on, like you say, through their dedication, and first and foremost by the grace of God and by the support of good people like you. We can make all the music we want, but if there's no one to play it and no one to hear it and hopefully appreciate it, then it's kind of all for naught. So it's all of those components are key ingredients in the formula. So we're grateful.
Well, it's certainly we're very grateful for the music, and it's wonderful for us to be able to play it to the world here from London in England. We're very, very honoured to do that, and very much enjoy the whole range of the sounds of Blackness. We are what we call in the UK a MOBO station, which covers music of black origin, regardless of who is actually performing it now. And we cover all of the genres that you talked about. So we're very pleased that we have that sort of synergy, if you see what I mean.
Excellent. So we are colleagues and soul brothers in that regard, and it's so great to hear that and know that the station does all that, the same thing that we do musically, that you play and support, and so that's just tremendous, and we want to thank and commend you for that.
Oh, thank you. Well, we work hand in hand in effect, because we're not a radio station unless we've got music of great quality to play, and you want your music of great quality played, so it all works very nicely.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, Sound Fusion and Sounds of Blackness are soulmates.
Yeah, sounds good to me. I like the idea of that very much,
yes,
indeed. Fabulous. So, you had celebrity status locally from very early on, didn't you? Really, as a group. I mean, it was even without sort of a record deal as such at the beginning, but you were still local celebrities very much.
Well, yes, we were blessed to enjoy exposure and popularity, and still are here in the area, and to work with artists from this area, of course, Prince and Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, and really to serve as a springboard for several artists. The great Ann Nesby
yes.
would definitely want me to send love to you,
nice.
DJ Gloss, and to Sound Fusion Radio, and to all the UK, really. And of course, the great Alexander O'Neill, when he moved to Minneapolis from Mississippi, the first group he joined was Sounds of Blackness before he went on to Flight Time, and then went on, of course, as a solo artist. And then another name that some of your listeners may not know, but they certainly know her music, Cynthia Johnson, the voice of Funky Town.
Yes. Yeah.
So all of those are Sounds of Blackness alumni.
So many great names. I mean, it must have been just amazing to see those careers develop. Gary, you were sort of responsible for the start of that, and for the nurturing of that, and then names like Alexander O'Neill and Ann Nesby, and of course we send great love back to Ann Nesby from Sound Fusion Radio. So that would be if you could pass on our love to her, that would be wonderful.
Oh, I promise I will. To Anne and to Cynthia and Alexander all as well.
Oh, that would be absolutely wonderful. Thank you very much. That would be great. That would be absolutely great. So tell us a little bit more about how things sort of developed from those early years, how you developed into the recording and with this marvellous discography that you have. How did that all sort of develop?
Well, thank you so much. We embarked as well upon recording on our own, even before our recordings with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. We recorded 3 discs at the time. The first one was called Images of Blackness, and that was in 1974. And then in 1976, we did a follow-up to Images we called it Images 2. And in 1979, I believe it was, we recorded our first Christmas album, which was based on the music from a musical play that we wrote and that we perform every year called The Night Before Christmas,
Wonderful.
A musical fantasy. And then, of course, as time moved on and we nurtured our long-standing relationship with Jam and Lewis, who we've known since the 70s, because many times the Flight Time Band and Sounds of Blackness would be appearing on the same show or event. And so we spent a lot of time backstage, off stage with one another. And so Jam and Lewis were familiar with Sounds of Blackness for many years, even before they embarked on their record production career. And when they did, they gave us a call. Actually, the first recording we did with Jam and Lewis was in the late 80s. We did some background vocals, and see how things come full circle. We did some background vocals on the Christmas record of Alexander O'Neill called My Gift to You.
Wow.
Yeah, and so it came full circle, you know. Just something how God works like that. Came full circle. And it is really a funny story, because I'll never forget, the session was over, and actually they called us in to do one song, but it went so well and we got done so quickly, they said, can you guys do background on another one? And so we did a second song. The first song is called Remember Why It's Christmas, and the second song is called Thank You for a Good Year, kind of a New Year's celebration kind of thing.
Yes.
And on the way out of the studio from that session, DJ Gloss, I'll never forget, Terry and Jimmy asked, because they were completing, the recording paperwork, they said, what label are you guys signed with so we can give them credit? And of course I quickly told them, we're not signed with anyone. And he said, you know what, I'm going to give you a call real soon. And like it was the next week or so that he gave me a call, and true to his word, and the rest is history.
Wow. What an amazing story, Gary. That's lovely, because you see, we just don't get that story unless we speak to the artist,
That's right.
And it's just so lovely that you share all of that wonderful information with us and our listeners, and that's just absolutely fabulous. And thank you so much for sharing that.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
So
you.
I'm intrigued to bits, so please tell us more. Anything you like, I don't mind at all. Tell us more about the progression of the Sounds of Blackness. And I do have some more specific questions to ask you, but I'm just intrigued by the detail.
Oh, okay, that's fine. We're happy to provide them, because a lot of times we get, and I commend you on some excellent questions, my friend, because a lot of times we get kind of stock questions, and there's kind of stock answers for them, you know what I mean? And so we don't get to disseminate the level of detail that I just shared with you, and so I appreciate the opportunity to do that.
Oh, wonderful.
And at the time, the music industry was kind of taken aback, because it was quite the publicity story in the media that Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis had started their own record label, Perspective Records.
Yeah.
And of course the expectation was that they would be trying to sign some of the huge artists that they were working with, Janet Jackson and so on and so forth. But lo and behold, the first artist they signed is this group with 30 people called the Sounds of Blackness. and actually, between you and I, DJ Gloss, initially, they received some flack about that from the industry. It's like, what are you guys doing?
Wow.
Who is this? Sounds of Blackness. Nobody. That's not going to work. And of course, after Optimistic, blew up and then became number one and all those things, then of course they had to eat crow, those critics. But so the signing of Sounds of Blackness as the first artist on Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis's record label, Perspective Records, surprised a lot of people.
Wow. Well, I mean, that's absolutely brilliant. And, with Optimistic, I mean, that is, a household name. It's a classic. There's not a single soul do that I DJ at or go to where it doesn't get played at least once, if not more.
Oh, bless you, my friend. We thank, like I say, we thank God, we thank Jam and Lewis, and we thank the DJs like yourself and around the world that supported 20 years ago, and now 20 years later still support not only Sounds of Blackness but still play Optimistic, some quite frequently, and so we're just so honored by that, and so appreciative.
Well, not a single week goes by where I don't hear it somewhere out on the soul circuit. That's for sure. And certainly we quite often play it on the breakfast show. And also there's an English artist who's recently covered it as well, and a lady called Janine Johnson, and her
awesome.
Version's going out very, very nicely as well. So it's an anthem, it's a classic, and it goes down with everybody. The whole dance floor just becomes one cuddled sort of mass, if you like, during Optimistic. It's just that kind of tune, isn't it?
We're so thankful for that, and we were blessed to experience that once again just this past weekend at our concert in Southport at the Southport Weekender. And
Yes.
that same thing happened when we played Optimistic live, kind of thing. So we're so honored that still happens, DJ Gloss.
Well, I really did want to come along to the Southport Weekender. I could have easily come along and been part of it, because one of the DJs, Fitzroy, is one of our DJs on this station. But unfortunately, I had two gigs elsewhere this weekend, one on Saturday and one on Sunday. So I really couldn't make it, unfortunately. But it's, the work has to come first, unfortunately. But I'd love to have been there.
No, we certainly understand, and we know that you were there in spirit, DJ Gloss. And we did actually get a chance to give a handshake and a hug to Fitzroy.
Wonderful.
Who we hadn't seen for years, and so we were able to reconnect with him in person. So he was representing you and Sound Fusion Radio.
Wonderful, and that's what I love to hear. Is and that's what the scene is like. Where everybody sort of represents, and we're all contributing, Gary. And I love that.
Yes, it is. That's what it's all about. As Sister Sledge said years ago, we are family.
Well, we certainly are. So tell us more about Southport while we're on the subject. If you're okay for time, I'm conscious.
I'm good, my friend.
Wonderful. Tell us more about Southport, about some of the other things you performed, and a little bit more about the gig.
Certainly. We want to, speaking of Southport, DJ Gloss, give a shout out to our good friend, longtime friend, Mr. Byron Orm,
yes,
who has been bringing us to the UK from day one for 20 plus years now. So of course
Fantastic.
We were able to reconnect with him. So I would be remiss if I didn't thank him for bringing us back yet again. And we did about a 70 or so minute set, a full set.
Wonderful.
And we featured some Sounds of Blackness classics, like you say, of course, Optimistic, but also Black Butterfly and We Are the Drum and I Believe.
Tunes, all of them.
Testify, The Pressure, I'm Going All the Way. And we also debuted 2 new tracks from our upcoming new CD that will be out early next year. A dance tune called Look to the Sky, which features Jamesia Bennett, the daughter of Ann Nesby. So that's one of those. She's one of the Next Generation Connection members. And also a great neo-soul R&B tune by one of our veteran members, Carrie Harrington, and that song is called Shine. So we put those 2 songs right in the middle of the set to give the Southport audience something new as well as the classics.
Well, I had a great honour this morning, Gary, because my producer, Anna, she passed me Shine across this morning to play on the breakfast show, and we played that on the breakfast show, and it's a fantastic tune.
Oh, thank you so much. I'll be talking to Carrie a little bit later this afternoon, and I will be telling them, and my goodness, yes, she'll be elated to hear that.
That's wonderful. And it was such an honour to play it, and obviously with it not being out yet, and perhaps not even being due until perhaps early 2015 as a release, we were so honoured to receive that and play it this morning, and it went down really well with our listeners. So I should be playing it again on my Saturday show, if not tomorrow and Friday as well, but I'm giving too much away now.
Thank you so much for the support, and like I say, just on behalf of all of Sounds of Blackness, DJ Gloss, thank you. My goodness, we just can't thank you enough, and you and UK Sound Fusion Radio, and on behalf of the group and behalf of Carrie Harrington, like I say, who not only wrote and produced the song, but also was a featured vocalist on it.
Wonderful. That's so she actually wrote and produced it too. Wow, because I didn't know that. I just thought maybe she was the vocalist, and that's wonderful. Wow.
Yeah, Carrie is not only an extremely talented vocalist, but also an extremely talented writer and producer, and she's also the choreographer for the group. So when you've seen our videos, or if you've seen our live concerts and the moves that we do, those all come from her. So she's multi-talented.
Wonderful. That sounds absolutely great, Gary. Absolutely lovely. Awards. You've got quite a heap of awards, really, haven't you, over the years?
We've been blessed in that regard, my friend, and we're extraordinarily grateful and thankful for them. But you know what? There is no award greater than when someone comes up to us away from all the lights and cameras and tells us that our music helped to change or save their life, or someone that they knew or that they know. We've had people tell us, DJ Gloss, that they were in an abusive situation and heard the music and it helped them get out of it, or that they even may have been contemplating suicide, and they heard Sounds of Blackness music and message, and it saved their life. And
wow.
So it's wonderful. I say that in this context just to say that as wonderful as the awards are, and we surely are very grateful for them, nothing beats that. We had a family who is part of Sounds of Blackness family, from Nottingham. In fact, their family name is Cottingham, so they are the Cottinghams of Nottingham. And they have been coming to Southport for years, we learned. It's a family that's endured a lot of losses and a lot of trials in recent years, and we've been in correspondence with them by email and Facebook and so forth. But we finally got to meet them in person at Southport. That was like the most special thing for us. So I don't know if the Cottinghams of Nottingham are listening, but or will hear this. But we will send them a love shout out because I know you asked me about the awards, but I'm just saying we appreciate them. But nothing is greater than that type of impact on someone's life.
Well, that's the blessed and beautiful award department. Those human awards that are just priceless, absolutely priceless. And that's if I'm honest, that story that you've just said kind of made me go all kind of tingly, and because I know exactly what you're talking about, and it's wonderful.
Yes, and even on the way over, on the flight over, we met a young lady who was also that obviously we had never met before, and she was and still is right now going through some tremendous loss, and so we send a love shout out to Fiona Berry, if she's listening, and she may be. So it's those kind of things and circumstances, those kind of people that we're all about. Like we say at Sounds of Blackness, we bring the music of the black experience to people of all backgrounds to inspire and encourage them. So that's ultimately what we're all about, DJ Gloss.
Wonderful, and what a wonderful thing to do. And could I ask you, a question about your youth, Gary, if that's okay. And
of course.
What was your inspiration to music? What brought you into being professional in music?
Well, certainly at the top of the list would have to be my mom, who will be 91 years old next month. And she is a renowned jazz singer in her own right. She sang with names that I know you know: Ella Fitzgerald,
yes,
Duke Ellington, Sarah Vaughan, Count Basie, Nat King Cole, Dinah Washington, Harry Belafonte. And so growing up, and I'm a native of New York, actually. Our family, the Hines family, lived in New York before we relocated here to Minneapolis.
Wow.
But our household was always filled with music. So it was, Mom singing, rehearsing her jazz songs and other styles of music as well. And of course, church on Sundays, and of course out in the streets of New York, with that were multi-ethnic and all of that on the street corners. On a hot summer night, you'd hear doo-wop groups, singing doo-wop and R&B and rock. And then you'd hear ethnic music come out of the different apartments of different tenants, with some Russian, some Jewish, some Greek, some Puerto Rican, Jamaican, Irish, Italian, French, English, all of those. That's a melting part of New York. So
what a cosmopolitan.
All of those, yes, all of those are influences, my early influences, and of course my original music background, even from the age of 5 years old, is on drums, military-style drums, marching a band. So all of that is in my original music background.
Wow. And so what? I mean, you gave me a great A-list of people that your mum worked with. I mean, they were massive names. But what were the musicians, the records that you bought that you listened to?
Well, at the top of the list was then, is now, and will forever be my favorite artist of all time, James Brown.
Yeah, yes.
The godfather of soul, the
Absolutely.
hardest working man in show business, soul brother number one.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so certainly at the top of that list is James Brown. There was not and at the time, of course, it was the vinyl 45s, as I know you know.
Yes.
And there was hardly a week and I say a week because he was coming out with a hit like almost every other week, in the 60s into the 70s, and we didn't miss any of those. So he would be at the top of the list.
Wonderful. That's absolutely brilliant. We still play vinyl 45s. We still have facilities in our studios to play those.
I love it. I love it.
So, we haven't parted with our vinyl decks yet, that's for sure. And we're not likely to either. So,
please don't.
No, we won't. Well, I've got two lovely Technics decks sitting right next to me right now, just rearing to go. So.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Or as you folks would say, brilliant.
Brilliant. Yes, that's a very English word, isn't it? Brilliant.
Yes.
Oh, dear, that's great. And I was just going to ask you, with as far as Sounds of Blackness is now, what sort of things have you got coming up for the rest of this year, which there isn't much of left, and next year then? What are you looking at sort of doing for those periods?
Well, a few things, DJ Gloss. We are preparing for our annual Christmas musical that I mentioned a moment ago, the night before Christmas, a musical fantasy. In fact, we were just in rehearsal for that last night once again.
Wonderful.
We're also continuing to finish the final mixes and mastering of our live CD. So last year we recorded a live CD, our very first, and so we plan to release that in 2015 as well, along with the studio tracks and singles and that kind of thing.
Wonderful.
So our main focus right now, as I say, are the Christmas musical and finishing up the studio work so that we can get you and all the UK and the rest of the world new music from Sounds of Blackness as well.
That's just fabulous, and we can't wait for that to come across the pond to us, because we just love to play your new music and get behind you and support you, and introduce it to those that know it well, and perhaps bring in a few people that are new to it. It's always part of the pleasure of it. So
thank
absolutely
you so
wonderful.
much.
And so the future for the Sounds of Blackness, I guess there's probably never going to be an end goal, but where would you like to see sort of it go next, if there is anywhere else it can go that's an enhancement, because it's already awesome?
Well, I hear your question, my brother, and I think the answer to that is with a few goals. One is to continue to with what we are doing and to do what we do, but even on an increasingly broader scale. There are still some places on the planet that we have not been blessed to go: Australia, India, China, Russia. So to continue to do what we do, but on an increasingly broader scale, to impact more lives and situations. We've been putting our music, DJ Gloss, towards some causes. For the past 5 years, we've written some songs about the issue of domestic violence that have been used and are being used even as we speak.
Wow.
By different domestic violence agencies in the struggle against domestic violence. So it's not just, a nice song kind of thing. They actually use the songs in some of their training and treatment of the people that they work with. So we want to do that, and also for our message to have an even greater impact. I'm working on a song now called Harmony, and a song called Change the World, especially to deal with people to come together across lines of faith traditions and ethnicities, because it's just imperative for us to do that before we destroy each other.
Absolutely.
And so we want to use what Stevie Wonder calls the universal language of music to try to help do that. And I think the final piece of the answer to your question, DJ, is just professionally to have even more of a presence in film soundtracks. We've been blessed to do some over the years, but we're looking to do more of that. So those three big areas are some specific goals that we are aiming for the future.
Well, Gary Hines, you are a gift to the world, sir, and you are going to be very, very busy, I can see.
Oh, bless you, my brother. Thank you. Like I say, it's all by the grace of God and by the support of people like you and your listeners. And I know I'm repeating myself in saying that, but I'm repeating myself out of sincerity and really meaning that. And we can never thank you enough.
Oh, that's wonderful. And, we can never thank you guys enough. And I'm repeating that out of sincerity too. And absolutely wonderful. If you could just sort of let our listeners know about how to engage with the Sounds of Blackness, how they can contact you, buy your music, find out more about where you're going and what you're doing. Perhaps you could tell them a little bit about that for us?
Yes, thank you so much, DJ. So for all of your listeners, we would just really encourage them and request them to please contact us at our website, which is www.soundsofblackness.com. Easy to remember, www.soundsofblackness.com. And when you go there, we'll have our dates, our activity schedule, events there. And please also send us an email, and know that when you receive a reply, and you will receive a reply, it won't be from some machine or anything. It will actually be from either myself or one of the Sounds of Blackness members. And the same goes for our Facebook fan page. We'd love to hear from you, and we will reply as well. And, of course, our music with the new CD and so forth that's coming for next year will not only be available in stores for those of you that like to pick up physical product, but it will be available, of course, at iTunes and Amazon online as well.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. Gary, it's been such a pleasure and an honour to speak to you today. And if there's anything else that you would like to say to our listeners, please feel free to take as long as you would like and say whatever you'd like.
To all of the UK family, extended family of Sounds of Blackness, to all the UK Sound Fusion Radio and DJ Gloss listeners and followers, a heartfelt, a sincere thank you from all of Sounds of Blackness for your support, your friendship, your prayers, your presence over the years, in the present now and into the future. And please know that feeling is more than mutual, and we look forward to hearing from you and to returning to the UK soon. And so until then, Godspeed and God bless from Sounds of Blackness.
That's absolutely lovely, Gary. And I could speak to you, sir, probably for the rest of the evening or afternoon as it is where you are. And I won't take up all that time with you. I just want to say a massive thank you on behalf of Sound Fusion Radio, myself, Anna B, and also from Fitzroy for allowing us to ask these questions and giving us these wonderful answers. It's an honour and a pleasure, sir.
Oh, the feeling is more than mutual, my brother. Thank you so very, very much.
Thank you too, and have a blessed and beautiful rest of your day. And hopefully, we won't be too long before we get to speak again. Maybe on your next album release, we could do some kind of feature around that and talk about the new release. That would be absolutely wonderful. If you wanted to do that, that would be wonderful.
I definitely want to do that, and once again, my friend, that would be brilliant.
That would be brilliant. I love it. Oh dear. Well, Gary, it's been wonderful. Gary Hines of the Sounds of Blackness, and it's been absolutely wonderful talking to you. And I'll speak to you again very, very soon. You have a great day, sir.
Great day, my brother.
Take care, brother.
Take care now.
Peace.
Peace.